大家好，歡迎嚟到 Leo Sir 細說英國教育嘅第5集。而家又到咗英國時間9點鐘，又係我哋開始嘅時候啦。我哋上一集講嘅就係點解有啲 good 嘅學校可能會比 outstanding 更加好。咁呢一集就係正如我之前所講，每5集會請大約5集請嚟一個特別嘉賓。我好榮幸能夠請到我嘅好朋友就係 Lorinda 老師。佢係喺退休之前係一個 St Catherine Bramley 嘅副校長，所以我認為佢能夠可以俾大家帶到非常多嘅一啲內部資訊啊，例如一啲私立學校高層嘅經驗等等，可以幫到家長點樣去為小孩子準備面試，帶嚟一個非常好嘅幫助嘅。詳情就唔多講啦，我會俾 Lorinda 老師去開始俾大家分享佢嘅經驗。Good morning, Lorinda.
Good morning, Leo.
How are you doing?
I'm very well this morning, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you in our webinar today.
Good. Shall I just explain who I am and what I did?
That would be great. Thank you very much.
Great. So my name's Lorinda Clavel-Bate. I used to be Lorinda Munro 4, and I was deputy head at St Catherine's Bramley. I was in charge of boarding at Bramley, amongst other things, and I also taught A-level biology. I was head of science for several years there as well before I became deputy head. I spent a lot of time interviewing new candidates from all over the place, from China, from Hong Kong, Singapore, all sorts of other areas of the world as well, for students who wanted to come to St Catherine's. And as a result, I have a wealth of experience of how kids can prepare themselves best for the interview experience. I'm often asked what kind of children schools are looking for. And the honest answer is there's no actual type of child that is being looked for. Schools are looking for a diversity of children. A school is a whole community. And as such, there will be sporty kids, there will be very academic kids, there will be kids for whom maths is their life. There will be kids who like chess, there will be kids who are quiet, there will be kids who are lively. And most schools welcome a diversity of students. And so trying to force a child into a particular perceived mold of what you think your target school wants doesn't usually work, because by the time the child gets there, the child is the child. They are what they are. And the school usually embraces that. But trying to force a child to put forward a picture of what they aren't can be a mistake. So that's just something to warn about. Focus on your child's strengths and what they do well, rather than try and turn them into, a football hero if they are not. That's would be my first point of advice.
Good, thank you. I think this is pretty like a misconception of many parents, is that what kind of candidates you're looking for, and I try to change my child to fit it in, but that's not the case, unfortunately. Yeah. Just one more thing. 如果有啲咩問題嘅話，請喺直播入邊打落去，跟住我之後喺15分鐘嘅 Q&A 會問 Lorinda 老師嘅。And another question they would ask is, if my child get past the first entrance exam, which is really great, and then in the next stage usually there will be an interview. So how can the child or the candidate get prepared for the interview?
Sure, that's a really good question, and preparation for the interview is useful. It is very useful, and the interviews serve a number of purposes for the schools, and I think understanding why the schools interview is key to understanding how you should prepare your child. So first and foremost, the school wants to check that your child has good enough English to access the curriculum. And that's really important, because different schools have different thresholds for this. So the very high achieving schools want a higher level of baseline English on arrival. Some of the more intermediate schools will accept much less facility in English. It's fine, but you should be aware of that. That's really what we want to do, so your child is not floundering around in their first year struggling with understanding what's going on in the classroom, because the classrooms are lively places in English schools. It's not quiet in English school classrooms, and that is a good thing. So that is really important, but it is important to understand that different schools have a different level that they would like. The second purpose of the interview is to see if the child and the school are going to be a good fit for each other. Some schools are gentler, and that might suit a quieter child. Some schools are very busy places, very go-getting, and that will suit a more outward-facing child on the whole. But we're looking for a good fit, and that is important. And that's very difficult for you as a parent to judge. So schools tend to be pretty expert in assessing children, and schools are also expert in their school. They know what the character of their school is like, and they will spot children that they think will fit well in that community and offer something to that community. The third really important thing that the interview serves is to find out the child's enthusiasms, to get a real sense of what your child is really like. Do they love? I took the example of chess earlier. I was interviewing a young boy last week, and his enthusiasm for chess was so great. And his other enthusiasm was astronomy and black holes. And we talked at length about that. And I got a real feeling that this boy was interested, that he was genuine, and would have made a great contribution to certain areas of school life in particular in that school. So that's the purpose of the interview. How you can prepare your child for interview is to actually get them to talk to as many unfamiliar adults that you think you can find for them. That ability to just chat comfortably with adults is a really good skill. And just to be able to answer questions, use open-ended questions with your child. Who, what, why, when, where. Questions that enable a child to develop their answer and not just say yes, no. So closed questions such as, did you do your homework? No, are not helpful. But why didn't you do your homework? Oh, because I got so sidetracked down this really interesting thing I was reading about black holes. Yeah, that's fine. Just developing those abilities to answer more fully and with enthusiasm.
So the main point is just not write yes or no answers. No matter it's a yes or no, you need to further elaborate or justify the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes and no answers don't really tell you very much other than the child feels positive or negative about something. But that doesn't give you a sense of the child at all.
You mentioned about certain schools looking for certain characters, whether it's outgoing or something like. So let's take like St. Catherine as an example. What kind of characters this school is looking for then?
Well, St. Catherine's is a bad example because we looked for a very, very wide selection of pupils. We acknowledge that quiet, studious pupils have a very strong place, but we also looked for sporty, outgoing characters and a whole spectrum. And it made the school a very, very interesting place to be. I was really thinking about some smaller schools which give a gentler experience because there are fewer students. So if your child is on the shy side or maybe a little introverted, that might be a better fit for that child. That's all I was saying.
Many students in Hong Kong are quite introverted as well.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that, and they often, when they first arrive at their new school, find that whole experience a little bit overwhelming for the first week or two, sometimes longer. But they do find friends and they do settle in. And the most important thing that they do is find friends that are outside the Chinese community as well, and that improves their English really fast, and they get going much better. And some are just real live wires from the moment they arrive, so it's different.
And I know many parents are trying to get prepared for the interview, and they just bring out everything like music, sports, any award in competition. Does it make a difference or?
Yes, it does. It does. Many schools have very strong extracurricular sides to their life. Certainly, music is important in some schools. They would like people who are able to contribute to orchestras and play in groups and contribute to the wider school life like that. special interests of any sort, robotics, chess. I keep mentioning chess. I've got to stop mentioning chess. Art, particularly, will be impressive on the child's interview, and they may be asked to talk about it at interview. So a key question is, what do you like to do in your spare time? And the child will reply, oh, I like to read philosophy. Well, if the child doesn't read any philosophy, then that's going to be a problem, because the next question will be, tell me a philosopher that you really admire. And the child will go, oh, I don't know one. And so whatever they say at interview must be something that they do and can be enthusiastic about, something that really fires them up.
And many parents ask me this question is, some child are really good at sports, some child are really good at music, but do they need to get a balance? Like, if I'm really good at sport, at least I need to find some music instrument, at least one or two, or are we just really good at one thing, it will be fine?
Really good at one thing will be fine, but in general, a balanced experience is good for any child. Now, we've all got children who are never going to be Olympic swimmers. We know this. Yes. We know this, but it doesn't mean to say they shouldn't swim and enjoy that. But ideally, a child should have some area of life that they are very, very keen on. They don't have to be super brilliant at it, but they need, so certainly at 11 plus and 13 plus, they need to be very enthusiastic about it. This is what I love to do. And be able
Another common question from my parents is, if they are good in sports, do you have to be good in multiple sports, or music? Do you have to do multiple instruments, or just focus on one or two?
You don't have to do multiple instruments at all. Many kids do, of course. Many will play 2, sometimes 3. At St. Catherine's, we very much valued kids who were able to play an unusual instrument, such as French horn or cello or double bass even, but those rare breed instruments, we used to call them, because they were able to contribute therefore to making a good orchestra. But violin, always popular, always good. But you have to fight your corner harder with the violin. It's more competitive with the violin.
Yeah. Before we move on to the Q&A session, my last question will be, can you tell us a bit more about how boarding schools such as St. Catherine Bramley can be beneficial to the development of a pupil?
Yes, I certainly can. Boarding schools are fabulous places. You have a whole wide variety of kids who basically grow up together within their boarding house. They make very good friends for life, and they will make international contacts for life as well, which will stay with them. Later in life, they will go to each other's weddings and be godparents to each other's children. But apart from that, they save so much time in boarding with not having to travel. The average student gains 10 hours a week of where that's 10 hours they can either spend doing their homework. That's 10 hours they can spend doing a club that they love. That's 10 hours they can spend just reading for pleasure. But that's what the average student gains, is 10 hours a week of development time that they will have. They learn how to get along with people in all sorts of difficult circumstances. They will learn how to manage their friends. If their friends are having a little bit of a fight, they will learn how to resolve conflict at a very early age. And it's a great skill for later life. They also get very good at independent travel on airplanes.
Yeah, definitely, yes. So we're moving on to the Q&A session right now. Thank you, Lorinda. And 如果有咩問題嘅話，請喺個 Facebook 直播度直接打問題，跟住我會喺呢度問 Lorinda 嘅老師。The first question will be, do my kid need some specific extracurricular activities for the interview? Can you give me some suggestion?
Oh, well, without knowing your kid, it's difficult to give a suggestion. Anything that they really enjoy will be good. There's nothing specific. If you have some target schools in mind, go onto their websites and look at their range of extracurricular clubs and see if there's something there that your kid thinks that's exciting. I like that. I like the sound of that. And maybe you can give them a head start on that with some extracurricular within your own home context. That would be a good idea. But specific is tricky. Music is always good. Some sort of sport is always good, but also further reading is really the key, because that's where children sort of get their imaginations fired up.
Thank you. The second question is, for the independent school or private school, do the parents need to participate in the interview?
Sometimes, yes. There are some schools that will interview parents as well. Not many, but some will. And what that interview is about is really seeing whether the parents' views and values are a good fit with the ethos of the school. So how can I explain this? But that is really it. If you want to prepare yourself for the interview, have a look at the home pages of the schools, which sets out what the school is about, what its values are. And that's often there prominently on the website. And see if you have anything in your background that you can bring to bear that fits with that ethos. And that will give you a lot of confidence. But the interview is really just to make sure that parents are supportive and on board with their child's education at that school.
To prevent some further problems in the future.
Yes, yes, and to establish that rapport, because sometimes problems do arise. You know, life is not an easy, quick run through, and to be able to have a link with parents and feel that parents are approachable is important.
Thank you. The next question is, if my kids tell the interviewer he likes IT design or something like STEM, STEM,
yeah,
is it useful at all?
Yes, it is. It's very useful, because the interviewer will then have some questions that they can go on and ask the child about IT design. What have you done? What have you built in your IT design lessons? That sort of thing. That gives the child something to talk about with enthusiasm. So yes.
Thank you. The next question is, would it be a bit late if we put my child to the preparatory school in year 7 to prepare for the senior school? Because the senior school that starts in year 9, would the school be not having enough time to understand my kid to find the right senior school for them? It's a bit long.
No, that's fine. I think you have to speak to individual schools about that. Schools will always say, yes, that's plenty of time, because they will. So year 7 to year 9, that really just gives you about just over a year before the entrance exams for year 9. It's quite hard for the child, because there's a period of adaptation that goes on with the prep school, and then they're having to think about moving on again already. So without knowing the child, it's difficult to give a definitive answer to that. If your child is shy and introverted, I would say possibly not. But if they're an open and outgoing child, yes, there is some benefit to that.
Thank you. The next one is, what are the typical interviews like for 7+ admission?
7+ admission interviews are very gentle affairs, and they're really designed just to try and get the child talking in any way at all, because 7+ children are very variable in their ability to chat. Some are definitely yes, no, and find it very difficult to expand on their answers. So the interviewers give a very gentle experience with lots of those open-ended questions that I was saying: who, what, how, why, when questions. How do you get to school in the morning? Just seeing if the child can talk that through reasonably fluently is really the essence of those interviews.
So it's not about academic extracurricular, just make sure everything is just fluent, you can express yourself.
That's right. And to do that, talking to your child in those terms is really important. That is the best preparation. And if you can get another adult to talk to your child in that way, that's good as well. So I've done quite a lot of half-hour interviews for Leo with children of that age, and that they work quite well.
Interestingly, there's another question for the 7+ exam as well. What key qualities are interviewers looking at in the 7+ kids admission? I think you kind of answered that already. You can elaborate a little bit more.
Yeah, okay. Basically, a smiley, open face is a good start. And a willingness to talk is the most important thing in those interviews, because without talking, an interview becomes not an interview. It just becomes a very quiet and difficult affair. But teachers are very, very skilled. Primary school teachers are extremely skilled at getting children to articulate. So it will be well. And in the end, if the interview doesn't go well, it may just be the wrong school.
Okay, interesting. The next question is, if my child should study year 7 when we arrived in England, will it be difficult to find an independent school? Any suggestion? If yes, I think that's what he means is he missed the 11+. I think that's what he means.
The answer is it depends whether your child is a boy or a girl. So registration for boys' schools is earlier than registration for girls' schools. Girls' schools, you can register pretty much in the year that you apply, and that's not an issue. Some boys' schools require you to register 2 or 3 years in advance. I don't think there would be a difficulty overall, as long as you have reasonable expectations and look at the school websites of the schools that you want to apply your child to and see what their admissions requirements are and what the lead-in period is, because it does vary quite a lot.
I think it is a common question to me some of times, because many parents will ask if at this stage, many schools are giving offers, 11+ offer, but some of them still asking me, is there any chance if I miss the 11+ to get in for this September?
That's more difficult because it has all been accomplished, but it is always worth ringing the registrar or emailing the registrar of schools that you like the look of to see if they've got space. At the moment, this period now is where many children are holding multiple offers. So some children will be holding 4, sometimes 5 offers from different schools. They'll obviously only go to one of those schools. And so places do sometimes become available later on. And if your child is a good candidate, someone will want them. But it's a matter of being tenacious and keeping in touch with the registrars of the schools that you're interested in.
Thank you. And the next one would be, someone asked about sixth form. Actually, it's interesting. What qualities of a student do the schools want for applying sixth form? It will be something different, right?
Yes, it is different. I mean, ideally, we're looking for a great reference from the existing school. For sixth form, you obviously won't have your exam grades at the point where you apply, and you'll probably be doing some sort of entrance exam. So a good performance in the entrance exam. There will almost certainly be an interview, and that will be focused very much on what you can bring to the school's extracurricular life. What qualities do you have that are going to make you a good sixth form person? It's less about the music. It's often less about the sport. It's often about personal qualities. What sort of leadership qualities? What could you offer to the school? And again, it's about fit. It is about.
That's interesting, because many parents is still thinking of the approach of 11+, 13+, sports, music, extracurricular, but actually the focus is not there anymore, right?
It's there a bit, but it's more on you've got only 2 years to establish yourself and get the most out of this sixth form experience. The first month and a half is going to be about settling in and getting yourself established, which only really leaves you a year and a bit to get the most out of this sixth form experience. So it's your extracurricular things, that the clubs, the things that you might like to do outside your academic work that are going to make the difference there. Good academics are key, of course, to getting into any sixth form. That's just a given. I'm just assuming that is a given. And also, if you have interesting aspirations for your future career, child may not know what they want to do, but if they do know what they want to do, that can have a bearing as well. And if they can give a reasonable explanation about why they want to do whatever it is they want to do, it helps the school to focus on their ambitions and keep them on track as well.
Excellent. I have no more questions at the moment. Maybe I'll just do a summary and then we just finish it today then.
Okay.
Yeah. 各位家長好，如果有咩問題嘅話，你可以繼續問我，因為我之後可以再同 Lorinda 老師去溝通。順帶一提就係 Lorinda 老師雖然已經退咗休啦，但係佢而家喺我哋嘅補習社度做 part time， 所以其實佢會 in charge of 11 plus 嘅英文啦，佢會教同埋會教 science 咁樣嘅，特別係英文嘅課程，即係例如復活節嘅11加嘅短期集訓班，亦都會係由 Lorinda 老師去主導英文方面嘅。所以如果你想你個小朋友真係試下俾前啲私立學校嘅副校長教佢英文嘅話，準備11加，我認為呢一個好好嘅機會喺復活節嘅短期集訓班可以得到 Lorinda 老師嘅教導咁樣。Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's no more questions. Thank you so much, Lorinda. Thank you for your sharing today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me along. It's been a pleasure talking to everybody, and I wish everybody all the best of luck with their UK school applications.
Thank you. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.